Hey Gary, it's good to hear from you again. It's been a while. You can see I'm wearing my Bernie stuff because I basically don't take it off ever because that's the kind of gross I am, I suppose. Um, on to the first things first, the drink for the night. I'm on wine, actually. Chablis. There's a reason for that. First, I don't know how to pronounce it properly, probably butchering it. But secondly, I got a ridiculous coupon in the mail. I ordered $3 worth of USB cables, which was two, and they gave me a $100 coupon to order wine off the internet if you spend $160 or more. So I got 9 bottles of wine for $70, basically. That's pretty good. It's definitely a step up from the box of wine that I normally buy if I feel like doing wine night. So yeah, that's what I'm drinking tonight. Digging right into, you were talking about gun control stuff. There's a lot to talk about with gun control stuff, and I follow a lot of it. The high capacity magazine thing, like it's another one of those things where in theory it's a modest proposal that nobody should be against, but in practice, like, politicians don't have the balls to do it in a way where it would be effective. Because the last time they proposed a high magazine ban in I think it was the Brady bill, there was a grandfather period where ammunition magazines manufactured before a certain date were still legal. And because there was a big heads up on when that date would go into effect, the manufacturers just manufactured just every fucking clip they could because they knew they were going to be a ban, and then they could sell them all legally because they were manufactured before the law went into effect. So it's kind of pointless because you're not going to reduce the amount of high-capacity magazines that exist in circulation right now, and there are a ton of them out in circulation. So, like, it's great, but it won't do anything. Like, I think the only thing that'll do something and be effective that is maybe in theory possible to happen is the universal background checks for gun shows and online sales, which some people don't even realize there aren't background checks for buying guns online all the time, which should be a problem, but that could pass. It probably won't. The no-fly, no-buy list is a nice talking point for Democrats, but it's also kind of crap because you need to have due process. Like, there's 3-year-olds on the no-fly list because of their name, and there should be a method to get off that list with, like, go to a judge, talk to somebody, give them whatever. But there's not. So you kind of need that. Like, I get resistance to no fly, no buy because of that. The problem is that the Republicans who are like, oh, we'll do no fly, no buy if you give us, this probable cause. That's basically useless too, because basically what you're saying is the only person who would get denied on the no-fly, no-buy list are people who would already be in the act of being arrested or have warrants anyway. So that's like no one, basically. So it's way too high of a standard to be effective. Really, you just need an appeals process for the list, some kind of way to get off the list that's public, transparent, and open, and that's probably not going to happen either. So that one's kind of dead. And then the assault weapon thing. I know the difference. Most people don't. The actual Brady bill, the assault weapons ban that was originally signed, it wasn't really about the rifle. It was about the attachments to the rifle. Actually, the assault weapon was defined as anything with 2 or more tactical attachments attached to it. So, like a pistol grip and a flashlight. It's an assault rifle. Or, a ACOG scope and a collapsible stock, and then it's an assault rifle. Like, that's how they did it. They based it on these attachments that are possibly aftermarket, so not really controllable, and also kind of irrelevant because, like, if you got an AR-15 with a collapsible stock and a scope versus not those two things, it's not going to make a really significant impact in a mass shooting in the grand scheme of things. Like, it may make some, but it's so ancillary as to be pointless. So they need a better definition of assault rifles, and Democrats definitely prey upon people's ignorance of this issue. With assault rifles, they kind of conflate it to fully automatic rifles, which are heavily regulated, and only legal if they're manufactured before a certain year, like in the 40s or 50s, I think. And even then, they're heavily regulated, as they should be, of course, but like, they're kind of preying upon ignorance of some people to try and gain public support for something that isn't actually going to happen anyway. So it's all kind of crap right now. And the only thing that we should be kind of trying to get together to do, because it's the only thing that can realistically be done, is the background check thing. And even that's not going to happen. So it sucks. I think life sucks, and this issue sucks, because there is no good way to do it. But yeah, politics. I'm not a Bernie or Buster, but I'm not committed to voting for Hillary at this point completely. I could get there. I found out today, actually, that Sanders is planning on endorsing Clinton on Tuesday at a rally in New Hampshire. So there is movement on that, because there has been a lot of movement on the party platform. Clinton has come out for expanding tuition-free college for certain levels. They put abolition of the death penalty on the platform, which is not a position that Clinton held. They're still working on a couple of other things. A couple of states have gotten rid of superdelegates. I'd like to see all of them go, because I think it's kind of a pointless system. Like, it serves literally no logical purpose, because they always, in their defense, like the party will say, well, superdelegates have never swayed the outcome of an election. So why have them? Right? I mean, yeah. But I'd like some other things, too, that aren't probably going to happen, like changing the primary schedule for the Democrats to make it less regional. What happens a lot of times, and people do talk about this online, and I don't know how significant the effect is, but I think just in the interest of appearing fair, the South shouldn't have one huge block at the beginning of the whole process. You shouldn't have any region of the country overwhelmingly voting early on and establishing a front runner that way. Because I don't have any data on this, but I'm willing to venture a guess that a liberal in Mississippi is different than a liberal in Massachusetts. Maybe it's not really, but I mean, we know that there's center moderate people all throughout every state in the party. But I think when you get up to that, like, liberal, progressive Democrat side of the spectrum, it starts to taper off and change dramatically regionally, and I think that you should have kind of a fair schedule so that there's not an overwhelming front runner in a couple of races, because honestly, contested primaries are good for the eventual nominee. Like, it makes them better, it makes them stronger, because they had to fight, they had to organize, they had to go into a bunch of states, they had to take nothing for granted. Like, Hillary, as flawed of a candidate and as weak of a candidate as I kind of feel she is much better for having had to go through, at least like 40 states where it was really still kind of like a fight. And that'll help her in the general, which is good, because she needs all the help she can get. Not that I think Trump is a shoo-in, I just think it's Hillary's to lose. And I don't think she's very good at campaigning. And there's plenty of anecdotal evidence I could provide for that, but this is already kind of running long as a video. So yeah, that's kind of where I stand. I will vote for Hillary. Probably. But I'm actually kind of holding out the hope that I can do a protest vote, because I don't like the direction of the corporatization of American politics and the money in politics, which was my big issue, which nothing is going to get fixed on that. And so my plan of not voting for Hillary is very specific, because I don't want Trump to get elected. So, like, if it's clear that she's going to win overall, then, and in my state, then my vote doesn't matter. And that's honestly the way it looks right now. So as my vote would have no significant bearing on the outcome in either Wisconsin, and even if it did in Wisconsin, Wisconsin's not going to be a big battleground state or a tipping point state for the general. I would do a write-in of Bernie as a clear protest of, like, this is what was the problem. Or I might vote for Jill Stein and the Green Party to maybe try and up their percentages so that they can get matching federal funds, which then they will squander next time doing absolutely nothing, because third-party runs are an absolute scam of terrible. But that's another video, I guess. Yeah, I'm kind of up in the air on that, actually. If I would protest, what I would protest, what that would look like, because, like, the whole third-party matching fund things is such, like, BS. Because, like, they're not running anybody in the House. And without a block in the House, like, even if, like, a meteor hit Trump and Hillary's, you know, parade floats at one point, you know, next week or something, and Jill Stein was nominated president or won election, Congress and the Senate isn't going to work with a third party because that is like a direct threat to their dominance on the two-party system. So they're just going to cock-block literally everything that they try and do, pretty much like they have been doing with Obama. Except bipartisan cock-blocking. So like, without, like, 20 seats in the House, maybe 5 seats in the Senate, they're useless. They're completely useless. And none of the parties are focusing on seats in Congress because libertarians don't live geographically condensed into one area, like a state, to have a senator. And the Green Party is just too weak because basically they're, I don't know, they haven't been successful at peeling away the liberals from the Democratic Party because most liberals in the Democratic Party still want to win, basically. And that's I think where they stand. So yeah, that's kind of my take on things right now. Still debating how my vote will go. It kind of is going to depend on, I think by the convention it'll become clear what I'm going to do, and if not, I'll just kind of wait and see, and I'll just make that decision early in November about what I'm going to do. But I guess I'm persuadable, you could say, but not in the sense that I want Trump to win. So I will vote for Hillary if it seems like that would be helpful to prevent him from winning. But if he's just a dumpster fire of awful who's going to lose horrifically, whatever. Talk to you later.